Hello viewers, welcome to this new video, that is introductory video on how to use Python. Alright, so when we talk about this Python, we already know that it is a programming language. So each of the programming language have the first stage, that is the first part of it. That is where you are going to start learning how to write the code, how the syntax look like. So before we go far, this first video, it is just like an introductory video to see how we deal with the number. That is when you have a number, how you can write your code that relate to number, how you can manipulate number, how you can see output from the numbers. Then we are also going to see how to make use of strings. We know the difference between numbers and strings, right? Then after that, we are going to see how we can make use of list. That is, it can be the list of numbers, it can also be the list of the string. So string, that is the text, while number, that is maybe you want to do some basic calculations in Python, so we make use of numbers for that. So now let's get started with the numbers. So as usual, if you want to write anything or you want to print anything in Python, all you have to do is you have to start writing the print function. So this print function will print whatever things you want it to be printed within the curly brace. So after this print, now since we are going to start with the numbers, so let's say now we want to add 2 plus 2. So just do 2, then we'll put plus sign, then we'll put another 2. So when we do this, Python is a very easy programming language. With this, it will easily print out the result for you. So now let's run the program and see how the output looks like. So we'll just click on run. When I click on run, you can see we have 4. This 4, that is the output, 2 plus 2. So that is how easy Python is. We have the print, then we have the 2 plus 2 inside. That is the first example. Alright, now after this, if let's assume we want to deal with 3 operators, that is, maybe we can say 50 plus, we can put minus 50 minus you can put something like 5 times 6. So we are now trying to say that 50 minus whatever is 5 times 6. 5 times 6 is 30. So when we want execute it now, all we have to do is this asterisk, that is, this star is representing times. So 5 times 6, that is 30. So we are now trying to say 50 minus 30. So when we click on run, this program execute, the interpreter give us the result, which is 20. So this is how very easy to use Python. Python is very easy. Alright, so apart from what we just did now, okay, so now we want to add another addition, that is to calculate the number that is more than what we have just done now. So we can say 5 minus 5 times 6, 50 minus 5 times 6 divided by 4. That is all the result divided by 4. So on what we did now, you can see after I add divided by 4, now it is showing me that yellow. This yellow, it is showing me, that is to say, even though I'm trying to run this program, it's going to give you an error. Let me test it and see. When I run it now, you can see it is not giving me the result, it is just throwing an error. So we need to fix the syntax. So all this calculation that I'm trying to do, I need to wrap it up inside the print. So I will now put the opening round bracket here, then I'll put another closing round bracket here. So when I do this, what I did is that this is what I want to calculate. So no matter what you want to calculate and you want print out, it needs to be wrapped with this opening round bracket and the closing round bracket. This is very easy. So as I did this now, when I run the program, you can see it is giving me 5. That is to say, before we have 50 minus 5 times 6, which is 20, then we now say that 20 should be divided into 4. So it is now giving us the result as 5. This is very easy. So that is how Python works. Let's now break everything down in a simpler format. You can say print 25 plus 25. That is, we want to do the plus now. Then we can still do something like this. we can say still print 30 minus, this time around we are using minus 15. Then we can also again come down and print another calculation, which is maybe we can say 100 divided by the divide, that is the slash. When you use this slash, you are trying to say that you want to divide a number into the next number. Then for the times, it is also this is just very easy. We can say 20 times maybe 3. All right, so when we do this now, we can see we have to print this. When we run this program, it's going to print 25 plus 25 for us. It is going to print 30 minus 15. It is going to print 100 divided by 2. It is going to print 20 times 3. So this is very easy. This is how you can be able to use numbers. All right, so let's run the program and see. So as we run the program, you can see this first calculation gave us 5.0. Then the second calculation, it gave us 50. The third calculation, which is 30 minus 15, is giving us 15. Then the next calculation, which is 100 divided by 2, is giving us 50. Then the last calculation, which is 20 times 3, which is giving us 60. This is how very easy to use Python. That is when it comes to numbers. So remember, students, this is an introductory video on how Python works with numbers. So the next part, we are now going to see how it works with string. When we talk about string, that is text. When you write anything alphabetic with use of alphabet or words or statements, so we can see how Python works with that. After that, still in the introductory part, we are still going to see how Python works with list, either the list of numbers or list of text, that is list of strings. All right, so follow us along. If you have any question, try to contact us through comment. Thank you very much.
First of all, we have to understand a variable. When we talk about variable in any programming, not only in Python, variable means a container, that is a store where you can be able to store different type of data that your program works with. So for example now, if we have to create a variable that is a storage that contains only numbers, all we need to do is maybe we can say number 1. When we say number 1, that is what this is, a variable we created. Then what type of number do we want to store, or which value are we going to store inside this number 1? We can say 100. So when we do this, now we have a variable called number 1, and the value inside that number 1 is what? Is 100. We can now say, okay, we have another variable which is number 2. Then the value inside of it, we can put something like 300. So when we do this now, we have two different type of variables. The first variable is what? Is a number variable, which is number 1. It contains 100. And the second one is number variable, which is number 2, which contains what? 300. So this is how to create number variables. That is a variable, a container that always contains numbers. Alright, so now let's assume we want to print what we have there. So for to print it out, all we need to do is we need to use our print function, and we can say print number 1. So when we say print number 1, that is we want to print what is inside this variable, this container. No matter what we stored inside this number 1, that is what is going to be printed out. When I run it like this, we can see we have 100. So this is how Python is. Then we can now say, okay, let's also print number 2. So this number 2, that is this variable, let's see what is going to be the output of it, or what does this variable name number 2 contains. So when I run it like this, we can see we have 300. So this is how number variable is. So we can be able to do some additions. If we like, we can say, okay, addition, that is addition of, this is another variable we are creating. So this variable we are calling it addition. That is to say we want to add number 1 and number 2. So we can say number 1, then plus what? Number 2. So when we do this now, we have another variable which is what, a variable that will now contain the addition, the summation of number 1 and number 2. So now here we are going to print what? We are going to print addition. So when we print addition variable now, we run it now, we can see we have the result to be 400. That is to say 100 plus 300 is giving us 400. So that is how number variable is. If we like, we can say this number variable is 0.5. We can see 100.5, which is a floating number. When we run it now, we can see we have 400.5. We can say 0.2 here. When we run everything now, it's going to be 400.7. So this is how number variable works. You can say this addition down, or in case of subtraction, we can say subtraction is going to be, we can say also number 2 maybe minus number 1. So number 2 minus number 1. So here we are going to print what? We are going to print subtraction. So when we print subtraction, that is number 2 minus number 1. When we run it now, we can see what we have. This, whatever is going to be the content of number 2, which is our 300, minus whatever is the content of number 1, which is 100.5, which is giving us 199.7. So that is it. We can come to the print next. Now we are going to do another, that is division. So we can say division of the two variables. You can put division of number 1, you can say divide by number 2. So what we do there is we are now dividing whatever is the content of number 1 with number 2. So we can say divide division, right? When we run it now, you can see what we have. When we say whatever is content of number 1 divide by this content, we are getting this. So that is it. For multiplication, to complete up the calculation, you can say multiply is equals to number 2 times, we always use star as times, so times number 1. Alright, so we can come to this place now and say print what? Print multiply. So print multiply. Now we run this program. What we have is this, which is 30,170.1. So that is it. So this is a variable. When we talk about variable, the variable that contains number, we have a variable here, we have number, we have another variable, we have number inside of it, and we can be able to do basic calculations with it. You understand? So now let's see how we can create a variable that contains that can contain text, that can contain string, not numbers. So for we to do that is also very easy. So now we have let's just use only number here. We can see, so we want to compare the two variables. We can say maybe name 1, which is equals to, so if it is going to be a variable, all we have to do, if it is going to be a string, we always make use of double quotes like this. Or put the double quotes, then we can put whatever types of name we want to put. Maybe we can say boy. So this is a boy. So this boy now, when we say print, we want to print this variable name 1. The type of this variable is a string variable. What determines the type of the variable is the content you are giving to it in Python. So when you cover your text, when you cover whatever things you cover with this of text, this is how it is going to look like. You understand? So what we do is we can say print name 1. So when we print name 1, we can run it like this. When we run it, you can see we are seeing boy. So in this essence now, we have two different type of variables here. This is what the first one here, we can put a comment, The first one is what? The first one is a number variable. This is a number variable. Then this is a string variable. So that is how variable work. And for you can see you cannot be able to add up this and this. You get it right. Maybe for example you say okay, name, then we now give a space. We can say plus number 1 or number 1 like this. So when I run the program, what do I see at the output? You can see I cannot be able to see the output because I'm trying to add up a number plus a string. You understand? So I can easily convert this name 1 to a number. So maybe when I change it to 50, if I run the program now, I'm not going to see an error because this is also a number. You understand? So that's how it is. I can also change this to text. When I change it to text, for me to do this, I have to just wrap them off inside inside a double quote. When I wrap them off inside a double quote, I run the program. You can see it is saying boy then 100.5 because now this is converted to text. This is already a text variable. This is a string variable. This is also a string variable. All it contains is a text. So this is how variable work in Python. All right. So if you have any question, any comment, do not forget to write it at the bottom below. So this is how we make use of variables in Python. Alright, so this is how you can make use of numbers, as we recently explained everything. So there is one more thing that I would like to add to you guys. For example, now when it comes to number, maybe you want to calculate power. That is, for example, you want to say 2 to the power of 4. That is 2 times 2 times 2 times 2 up to 4 places. Or 2 to the power of 10, 2 times 2 times 2 times 2 times 2 times 2 up to 10 places. So all you need to do is just to put 2 like this, then you now put times, that is double, times, then you now put the power maybe 2 to the power of 4, that is 2 times 2, then 2 to the power of 2, which is 2 times 2. So when you run the program now, you can see it will give you what it will give you 4. You get it right? Maybe 2 to the power of 3. 2 to the power of 3, when you run it now, this is going to give you what? This is going to give you 8. 2 to the power of 5, which is 2 times 2 times 2 times 2 up to 5 places. So when you run it now, this is going to give you 32. Understand? When you put 2 to the power of 10, which is 2 times 2 times 2 times 2 up to 10 places, when you run it now, this is going to give you 1024. So this is how you can make use of numbers when it comes to Python. Alright, so this is just introductory. Remember, we have to do a lot of things that relate to variables and so many other things, but we are just trying to see how the Python recognize numbers and how it deals with them. Alright, so now, as we promised, we are now going to proceed to the text. That is how it uses text. So we are calling text string. So string of number, that is a string of text. We have string of text. So string of text may contain numbers. It may also contain alphabet. You understand? So now we are going to see how Python deals with string. Alright, so I have to remove everything from here. Alright, so now when we want to print a text, so we are also going to use the print function. So now inside this, instead of us to use something like maybe 12, so we are now going to use 12. We are not going to write 12 like that. Since it is going to be a text, we have to write it off with this or double quotes. You can see double quotes. So after the double quote, inside now I can be able to write whatever it is I want to write. If I did not use double quote, maybe I type something like boy. You can see the moment I type something like boy, Python is now throwing an error for me. If I run the program, this program is not going to give an output. You can see, right, there is no output. So all I have to do is this boy, I have to wrap it inside a double quotes like this. So I'll put what? I'll put boy. When I put boy like this, I run the program. Now you can see, I can be able to see the output. So that is how Python treats text. You understand, right? Maybe the other time when we are using number, we put something like 12 plus 12. When we run it, it will definitely give us 24, right? So if to say maybe this 12 plus 12, now I wrap them with double quotes, that is, I put double quotes around them. If I run them, this is going to give me exactly 12 plus 12. So this is the difference between text and number. So this is how Python treated number. No matter how the length of statement is, you have to wrap it up inside the double quote. Maybe I can say this is a boy. You understand? Or you can say the boy is bigger than the girl. So when I do this now, I run the program, in as much as it is wrapped inside this double quote. So this is now going to read the statement for me and write it down. This is a boy, the boy is bigger than girl, you can see, right? So this is how you can make use of string, that is text, in Python. Alright, so next thing now to do is let's try to run to see how Python deals with list, that is list of either numbers or list of string. So we start with the list of number. Alright, so welcome back to this stage of our tutorial. In this we are going to learn how to store a lot of values in a given variable. So that is why we call it list variable. So we start with numbers, that is a kind of variable that will contain a lot of numbers. So we can say maybe list underscore number. This is the name of the variable. Here we can give it a value. So if we want to store a lot of things inside, a lot of numbers inside one variable. So all you need to do, have to open a angle bracket like this. When we open the square bracket like this, we can say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So when you do this, what you are trying to say that we have how many variables, we have how many values, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, all stored inside this variable, which is a list. So this is also called array in variable. You understand? So when we do this now, we are storing a lot of values inside one variable. So for we to see the content of this value, this variable in printed format, so we need to print it out to see what is the content. So I'll do this now. We can say list numbers. So now what we have done is we are now going to see how many values, what are the content of this variable that we just created, which contains the list of numbers. So I'll now run the program. You can see we have the content, which is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I can be able to select each of the value at a position. For example, now if I want to see which one is the second value in this list, which number is it? So for me to do that, I have to come to this place. I will now put a square bracket, then I'll specify the index of that number. I want to talk about index in Python or in any programming. That is, let's say now you want to calculate them based on serialization, that is which one comes first, which one is the second and third. So in programming, the index number always starts with 0. So when this one now is at the position of 0, 2 is at the position of 1, 3 is at the position of 2, 4 is at the position of 3, then 5 is at the position of 4. So for you to now know which number is at the position of 1 in the list of our numbers, in the list of our variables, in the list of our numbers which are contained in our in our list list number variable. So I will now put 0. When I put 0, so now I'm trying to say which number is at the position of 1. So I will run it. When I run it now, you can see it's 1. If maybe I change this to 10, so then I run this program again, you can see it's showing me 10 because 10 is at the position of 1. So in programming, the index starts with 0, not 1. So if I want to see which one is at the position of 2, I have to change this to 1. You understand? So when I change it to 1 now, I run the program, I can see we have 2. Alright, so now let's assume I want to do something like this. I can say which one is at the position of 5. So the one at the position of 5, I will now change the index to 4. So when I change the index to 4, I will run the program. We can see we have 5. Alright, so this is it. You can still create another variable. You can say first position is equals to, then we'll say list numbers, then we'll put what, 0, that is first position. Then I can copy this to make it faster and say second position. So second position can say list number, then 1. Understand? And if we want to check which one is at the fifth position, that is position number 5, we can say fifth position. Then here will be the index of 5 is 4 in programming. So now when we do this now, here we are saying that this is what we have. So if I want to print out which one is at the first at the index 1, that is the first position, I'll just do this and I'll run the program. You can see we have 10. If I like, I can add up the first position and the fifth position, that is plus the last position. All I will do is this. I will now put plus sign, then I'll put what, fifth position. So when I do this now, I'll run the program. When I run it, you can see we have 15. That is, I'm adding 10 plus 5, the first position plus the fifth position, and it's giving me this. You understand? Additionally, I can add up which number is at the second position, so it's also very easy. I'll put plus, then we can say what, second position. So when we do this now, we run the program, you can see we have 17. So this is how you can list a lot of values in one variable, and this is how you can access those values with the use of index. Alright, so now let's see how we can be able to make use of list of string in one variable. So we can say list underscore of countries. This is a variable that will contain list of countries. So open a square bracket like this. I'll open the square bracket now. We'll put the first country inside a double quote. We can say Ghana, comma, then the next country, Nigeria, comma, next country we can put something like USA, comma, next country we can put something like Germany, comma, next we can just list as many countries as possible. So we have a variable name list of countries. We have the first variable at the index of 1, which is Ghana, at the index of 2 Nigeria, at the index of 3 USA, at the index of 4 Germany, at the index of 5 Spain. So now let's try to print this out. So you can say print list of countries. So when we do this now, it is going to print everything for us: Ghana, Nigeria, USA, Germany, and this. As usual, we can also access it with this of index. So we can print the first one that is at the index of 0. When we do this now, it is showing us Ghana. Then we can also be able to print the last one, which is at the index of 4. So at the index of 4. When we run it, it's going to be Spain. You can say which we want to check and see which one is at the index of 2. So when we run it out, we are seeing USA, which is at the index of number 2. For we to do that, if we want to see which one is at the second in the list, so we can say at the index of 1, because our index always starts with 0. So 0, 1, that is 1 is now trying to show us which one is the second item in the list. So when we run it now, it is showing us Nigeria. Alright, so this is how you can make use of string values in one variable, in one string variable. So if you have any question, any comment, do not forget to write it down below. Don't forget to like this video, share and subscribe it also. Thank you very much.